Welcome to SPK Speak Sports. On our station, we talk about baseball and sports news, from the most recent stories to the throwbacks. Listen now to Scott, Paul, and Kelly on SPK Speak Sports as they hit the ball out of the park.
You hit the ball out of the park, Speak Sports.
Hello, my name is Scott.
I'm Paul.
I'm Kelly.
And the three of us are SPK Speak Sports. A couple of quick things about us. We're all wearing pants. We are not wearing makeup. And our visas are valid. Now, let's get right into it. We got 3 weeks left of the season. It's gone by quick. It's been just like 40 games have been played.
It's crazy.
Amazing.
I heard the first reference to a magic number yesterday.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dodgers tied their best start in their team history. Do you know that?
Yep.
1955, 77, and 88. 1888.
Wow.
The last 20 games, the best records in baseball, Dodgers 17-3, the Rays 16-4. The Angels might have their worst winning percentage in team history. And just really quickly, we were talking about, so they've got 3 weeks left of the season. The Cardinals have, what do they have?
17, I think.
They have like 26, 28 games to play in 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Marlins, about that figure
They're
too.
at 17.
So that's going to be, Ernie Banks would love those guys.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know, he always was saying, let's play two.
Let's play 2 and keep it at 9.
Ernie Banks supposedly passed out one day before the Astrodome. It's August or September or July in Houston, humidity and the heat, and he passes out and they're taking him off of the field on a stretcher, and one of the fans says, "Hey, Ernie, let's play two." But in the American League right now, if it were to end today, which it's not, Rays would play the number 8 Blue Jays, A's, Twins, White Sox against the Yankees, Cleveland against the Astros. Still in the hunt, but probably not so much. But hey, Orioles and the Tigers, so good for those guys. They're 3 games back from the 8th slot. National League, it's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, who of those American League teams are you most surprised that is there? The Sox?
That's in there?
Yeah, the Sox. White Sox?
The Sox were a surprise a month ago, but not now.
I think the Blue Jays, and I'm also surprised right now, the Yankees are the number 6 seed.
Yeah, well, I think their injuries are caught up on them.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything in the trade market.
Yeah. But I'm surprised the Orioles and the Tigers are in the hunt.
Yeah.
I think those are 2 teams that hopefully are on the rise. They've got good fan base, and they've been languishing, shall we say.
Yeah, and also the Blue Jays aren't even playing in their own country.
No,
And they're playing at Buffalo.
That's right, the Buffalo
and,
Blue
so
Jays.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the Rays, unbelievable.
National League would be number 1 Dodgers against number 8 Rockies. Braves versus the Marlins. So they're still in it. They're in it right now. Cubs versus the Cardinals, who have a ton of games to play. Both those. So that could change because the Brewers and the Giants are only a half game back, and the Reds and the Mets are only a game and a half. So that's a brutal schedule. It's not like they've played a boatload of games. They've only played less than 30 games or 30 games or so. And the Padres and the Phils. Phils are...
They
raking.
had 9-1? Didn't they go 9-1 or something like that?
The Phils got it right here.
Yeah.
the teams the last 10 games, Phillies are 8-2, Dodgers are 8-2, and that's it in the National League. In the American League, the Rays are 8-2, and that's it. There's 4 teams with a 7-3 record in the last 10 games: White Sox, Indians, Mariners, and Angels, making the push a little late
For 21.
Scott, I want to talk about a movie. I want to talk about a 50-year-old Western that's actually a topical baseball movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
Remember, Kelly, Scott, when they kept saying, "Who are those guys?
Yeah.
Who are those guys?"
Yeah.
Well, they weren't the Texas Rangers after all. They were the Tampa Bay Rays. Who are those guys? It's unbelievable. These guys, if the Tampa Bay Rays... if any fan other than a Tampa Bay Ray fan can name 5 Rays, that's a real feat. I've been studying their roster for the last couple of days. I still can't name 3 players.
I can name Snell and Glasnow. the pitchers.
That's better than most.
I can't name 5 of them, but I don't even think there's 5 Ray fans, are there? In that stadium?
They got more cardboard cutout fans
yeah.
than they have real fans.
But it's unbelievable. You look at the current stats. They don't have any leaders. Their number one their pitcher with the most wins is a relief pitcher. They have nobody in the top 10 in hitting in average. They have one guy with 10 home runs, but they do lead, or they're in the top 3 in walks and on base percentage. So something tells me they're just playing good, solid baseball. They're pitching fairly well, although it's a group effort. They don't have any stars pitching.
Well, when you see a team on the field, it's the players. The front office is also competing, and that's where it's won and lost a lot of times.
Well, like I said earlier, the last 20 games, the Dodgers 17-3, Rays 16-4, and I thought it was a foregone conclusion a couple of weeks ago. The Yankees were about, I think, 2-3 games up, and they're fading fast.
But the thing is that the Rays, they don't have the revenue, they don't have the fans, they don't have the revenue to compete with these other teams.
They don't have any names.
So, yeah, but I mean, they somehow, like, I watch their transactions and everything, and they'll sign a guy, and you look at his what he's done in the last year or so, and it's just very average, and all of a sudden they have like their career year there for some reason, and then they're there for a couple of years, and then they go off to somebody else, and it's back to what they were. So I don't know what they do or what they know. If it's the coaching or they're just put in situations where they can succeed. But this is happening year after year. This isn't an anomaly.
I think maybe they've been able to combine the technology with the gut feeling too.
Yeah.
You can't eliminate, what you feel about some guy too, but they combine the two.
They got Friedman, who's the Dodger president now, used to be the Tampa Bay's baseball operation guy.
Yeah.
And so there's something there. And the Twins are the same way. And Minnesota's the same way. The Indians are the same way. And they don't have the revenue the Yankees have. So they can't afford to, when they make a mistake or a screw up on a signing and they take a hit, the Yankees can do that and they still have the revenue, the money from their TV contracts. Their individual TV contracts, it differs from where they are. The NFL, everybody gets the same money, so they're competing on the same field.
Yeah.
These smaller market teams are at a big, they're at a big disadvantage, and that's why you get like Pittsburgh, who is a small market. A few years ago, their team was a lot better than it is now. They had that window, there to compete. Then these guys that they had are going to play out their contracts. So like the guy that went to the Yankees, what's his name? The pitcher that escapes me now. The guy, the right-hander. Cole, yeah. So they had to trade him. They traded him to the Astros. Then he played out his option. So they missed that opportunity. That window closed on them. So now they're trying to reload. They'll have another chance that see the window that they compete, they get the guys, the minor leaguers, they come up all together, they keep them together, and they say, okay, we're going to make a run for these 3-4 years, like Kansas City did.
Ultimately, the Rays should not be the big surprise that they
They're
seem
not-
to be to
yeah,
all of
yeah,
us.
yeah.
They won 96 games last year. They
Right.
won 90 the year
Right.
before. So, yes, would they be in the hunt? We all should have seen that they would
Yeah.
be in the hunt. But to be where they are right now,
Oakland.
having only lost, 13
Oakland's the same way,
games so
Scott.
far this year?
It's
crazy.
they talk about expanding, expansion to 2 more teams. Before they do that, they got to move Tampa Bay out of Tampa Bay. Put them in. I remember a year or so ago, they're talking about playing half the games in Tampa and half in Montreal. I said,
Yeah.
what?
I think I know why they'll stay in Tampa Bay. It's for New Yorkers, because everybody knows that every New Yorker ends up in Florida.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they
Yeah.
go
So
to
they
the
gotta have a
Marlins games.
team,
Yeah.
Go
and
to
they
the
got to go
Marlins.
see the Yankees somewhere.
Yeah. Everybody on the East Coast, they come down there, but they have an allegiance to their team of their home, of wherever they come from.
Yeah.
And so all these Tampa Bay fans, whatever they are, they have to be people that have lived there.
Well, at least get them a new ballpark. And you, Kelly, the K of SPK,
Yeah.
Speak Sports, mentioned the Indians.
Yeah.
That they're still up there in spite of having to trade Clevenger.
Right.
So Again, if they have him, and if they had a hit or two, they have no hitting.
Right.
So they're doing it all on pitching. And the Padres are very thankful that happened, because I'm sure Clevenger will be just a wonderful teammate for at least this year, if not the rest of his career. We got to mention today, I know it's the algorithm and we're not supposed to, but we got to say the date. It's September 6th. For those of you watching this in 2030, right now it's September 6th, 2020. And that was this man, Cal Ripken, beating this man's consecutive game streak at 21-31 on this date.
Yes.
And this man's Lou Gehrig.
Yes, I'm sorry, Lou Gehrig.
Yankees.
Now, question for you guys. Do you know what what the total streak ended up being for Ripken? He didn't stop there.
I think it was 20 or 2,600.
Yeah,
And I don't know, 45?
32.
Okay.
Yeah. So, 26-32 it ended up. So, I mean, that's a record that will never be broken.
It's insane.
Also, I need to mention the passing of one of the greats, pitching greats, Hall of Famer Tom Seaver. Had dementia. He went from his Hall of Fame career to a Hall of Fame winery. That's what he wanted to do after he finished playing, and he did some sportscasting, color commentating for a while. But his love was making fine wine, and he did exactly what he did with his playing career, with his winery.
Baseball and fine wine.
231 complete games in the last 5 years total for all of baseball. 241 for all of baseball. Obviously, different game, but it's not like he played in the 1920s.
Right.
You know, he's. Can you imagine if the Mets hadn't? And the Mets screwed up. They had a contract dispute, and so they end up trading him to Cincinnati. They get him back for a year, and then something happened where he left him. They left him unprotected, and I forgot who
White
picked
Sox.
him up. The White Sox picked him up. So can you imagine if the Mets had, made up, and had Kuzman, Seaver, and Nolan Ryan for the decade and
had
more.
Gary Gentry at one time.
Gary Gentry, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the Ripken record will never be broken. Also, speaking of records, this man right here, Mike Trout, beat this man's record, Tim Salmon, of career home runs for the Angels. Salmon had 299, and Trout's sitting on 300, and he's tied with Chuck Klein. Because I know you were wondering. And just ahead of him, Rogers Hornsby at 301.
Wow. He'll pass him. Maybe.
You think?
Oh, yeah, and you know what? He's three behind
I'll take that bet.
He's three behind his teammate Justin Upton with 303. So Upton's not going to be ahead of him for too much longer.
Unbelievable.
One other thing about Trout. He's one of the contenders. All the teams have a Roberto Clemente person for the person on each team who's done the most philanthropic, charitable work. And so then they award it to one guy, so he's up for that. Roberto Enrique Clemente Walker. In Spanish, they take the paternal name. So that's why he's, but if they didn't, he could have been Bobby Walker. Roberto Enrique Clemente Walker. Could have been Bobby Walker. I think Roberto Clemente just
I think it fits him
better
better.
ring.
Yeah.
Now that you blew it on, for the YouTube history
That's
here.
why I'm here.
And everybody knows it's September 6th. Shouldn't this be the day when the first weekend of college football is really preeminent?
Football.
Yeah, remember that thing that they used to do?
Rings a bell.
Kickoff classic.
It's unbelievable.
Kickoff classic.
So I started looking at baseball games, yesterday's games, Saturday, September 5th games,
What
as
weren't
though
played?
they were football games.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
And it would have been an upset Saturday in college football if baseball were football. Because more than 50% of the teams with the worst record won yesterday's games. Now, that may happen a whole bunch of times
on
during
any given day.
any given day. But I thought it was notable because it was what should have been opening weekend for college football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they're still going to play. Some conferences are going to play. So.
Oh, and it was also the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, that's
Derby
right.
Day, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there is a Derby baseball connection this year. The horse that won, Authentic, apparently it's owned by a lot of different people. They call it micro shares. So a bunch of micro shares were sold of this horse. And one of the owners is Walker Buehler of the Dodgers. You know, it's one share, one micro share. Of
The Walker
Authentic.
Buehler?
Yes, Walker
Buehler.
Buehler.
Wow.
Bueller.
That's right.
The Cardinals' Adam Wainwright last Sunday, a week ago, on his 39th birthday, he threw a 122-pitch complete game, and after the final out, the entire Indians dugout stood up to applaud him.
Wow.
And Billy Hamilton has been released by the Mets. He was put in to pinch run. At first, Chapman balked him to second, and there's no outs, and they're losing by a run, and he steals third. He's out, and now he's really out. Yeah, but he was 1 for 22 while he was with the Mets, so I know it's probably a tough decision. On the other side of the coin, Trey Turner, about a week ago, with the Nationals, he's had a good 4 or 5 year career so far.
Yeah.
He had 15 hits in 4 games. Wow. He had 3 hits, 5 hits, 3 hits, and 4 hits. And they said, when I was listening to, that a guy also had 15 hits in that 4 games, but then I looked it up and it only had 14, so I don't know. But that guy's name, who either had the 15 or 14, Giants, pretty good Giants player, Mike Benjamin.
Mike Benjamin.
I was afraid you were going to say Bobby Walker.
Who he?
Oh, wow.
Kelly.
Okay. One thing on the Ripken thing is, and we were talking about this. Remember when I asked you about Al Downing?
Yeah.
Al Downing grooving the ball to Hank Aaron, and you said no, he didn't groove it to him, right? Okay.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, so Cal Ripken, on the night that he broke the record, he hit a home run off of Sean Bosky, who was an Angel pitcher. And Sean Bosky said that was his greatest thrill in baseball. He hit it on a 3-0 pitch.
Yep.
Okay, so he hits it on a 3-0 pitch.
When I was reading, it said, when I read 3-0 meatball.
Yeah, so he said, I thought, should I try to make the perfect pitch or should I just, throw it down the middle? Well, he decided to throw it down the middle. So he threw it down the middle, and Cal hit it. And it was after he hit that home run, there was a 22-minute standing ovation. Wow! And his brother Billy, who played with him, second base, said he made us stand there for 22 minutes.
Well, he didn't want to go out either.
No, I know. He's
Bobby
a humble
Bonilla
guy.
and Rafael Palmeiro
Had to
kept
force
pushing
him
him out.
And that he did that the year after the World Series was canceled.
Yeah.
So he knew, he said, that the next year when he came out there, he signed, everything.
I saw him at a game too.
And
before.
they had to kick him out of the stadium, like when they're cleaning up and okay, Cal, he would wait there for hours. He would do thousands of autographs, just reach out to the fans, and they had to get the fans back, and they wanted. Because that was a big thing. Remember, '94, a World Series being canceled.
How many times did Ripken take the field when he was sick, when he was hurt, when he could barely lift his arm or a leg?
And they said there was a game. They got in a bench clearing brawl with the Seattle Mariners, and he messed up his knee, and he couldn't put any weight on it. He called his mom, and he said, "I don't think I'm going to be able to play today." But they were able to ice it down, and he was able to do it. But he had almost lost it there. So,
Because what Mom said she was going to do to him if he didn't play.
Yeah, and the thing is when you think about how many games that is at shortstop, the toughest position to play, really. Catcher's tough, but you got to be athletic to be. And here's a guy 6'4". Mm-hmm. He was the first guy in that whole generation.
Big shortstop,
right?
6'4". He was a power hitter. He played all the games, and it was it's just incredible. How a guy couldn't, during all that time, he didn't step on a base going to first, tweak his ankle and is out, or get hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
And years later, Steve Garvey,
Right.
he had one going when he was with San Diego at the time. He had like 1,700 or something. Not one.
A little over 1,200.
1,200. And he needed, I forget what it was. Anyway, he slid into home and he jammed his thumb or his ligament and that was it. And so you have to have a little luck, but you got to have a guy that's, it's just amazing.
On the Ripken game, I mentioned about Bobby Bonilla. He hit a home run after Ripken, so they went back to back. And you guys probably know this. You know what July 1st is every year?
Hot.
Yeah, hot.
Yeah.
And they call it Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh, that's right.
You
He
see,
still gets-
I mean, I was looking at this
Oh,
the
he
other day.
gets some
So
money?
Yeah.
he gets paid from the Mets, again, another mistake, till 2035. He's paid almost $200,000 every July 1st until 2025 for a total of almost $30 million. The Mets bought out the remaining of his $5.9 million contract in 2000. Wow. So instead of 5.9, they're going to pay him almost $30 million over 30 years. He started getting paid, I think.
That was the money they saved from not signing Ryan and not signing Seaver again.
my
But there was a Bernie Madoff part to this too.
Really?
I couldn't quite follow the whole thing, but
my gosh.
that was enough. But every July 1st, he gets a
Nice
mill
check.
too.
Wow.
That's the part of baseball that you don't get when you're this guy, right? You don't have to.
That's the
deal
best
in those
time for being a baseball fan.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is when you're a kid. But oh man, I got to mention too, because this is going to be old news, but it's about a week old news now. I just got a kick out of that Greinke 54 mile per hour
Ephus.
curveball, and the batter laughing after too. That guy's a character.
Yeah,
And
he
then the
is.
same game, something with the mound and the grounds crews out there, and he's sitting with his legs crossed, just watching them, taking notes, I guess. But he's a character. He has really. And I hate to mention this because it's the Astros, but he's kind of led that team to stay in the race. I mean, when you lose Verlander and Cole,
Yeah.
so hats off to him. Can we get to the best uniforms of all time?
Please.
And
Yeah,
the worst?
yeah.
What are the worst?
I got to go with the White Sox in those shorts.
With the collar.
Yeah, the collar and and then also the Astros,
Astros,
that
mid-70s.
softball ugly orange stripes across with a giant
The
star.
sunset. Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
And with the wide, what was it, about 3 or 4 inch belt that snapped. They weren't
Oh
belts.
yeah,
it was just
they had the it was like a snap thing and
I have-
little stripes.
I have one addition to this, though. No matter how good objectively it looks, the Giants will always have the worst uniform. Every era, now to eternity.
It's an impartial opinion.
they're
right
yes,
there.
yes.
But yeah, I think almost any team in the 70s,
Yeah, they had
for
that.
no other reason because they had the pullovers. There were
Right,
no
right.
buttons except for I think the Yankees probably. But Houston had but Houston also had one of the best early on when they were the Colt 45s.
Yeah.
And that was a great jersey.
They had the guns, didn't it? Have like,
That's
yeah,
they took them
That's
off,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it
but
never happened to me.
they have a bad uniform now. The Astros. It's just this block letter.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
style to it whatsoever.
Right.
Best uniforms.
I like the
Yankees.
Yankees, Dodgers,
Dodgers, yeah.
Yankees. You see it, you know immediately.
Yankees, Dodgers, Cardinals,
Yeah, I like the
think
baseball
that's
with the birds
a
on
great-
it. And the bat.
Tigers.
The
Classic
English
with
D.
the D.
Yes.
They made a
English
mistake
D.
of going to Tigers, and now they
Yeah.
got the English D.
Yeah.
And my initial favorite was this guy right here, because I for some reason growing up in Los Angeles I gravitated towards the Braves. Well, there was no Major League Baseball in L.A. I just like and it's politically correct with the tomahawk and the Wahoo Chief here. I mean, that's great, but it's a sign
Eddie
of respect.
Matthews.
Great number on the back, Eddie Matthews number. So I thought the Braves, and this is my second favorite, is a minor league, Pacific Coast League, LA Angels. They called this the waffle sleeve, and they had the waffle down the side of the pants. Steve Bilko, who was like Babe Ruth for 3 years in the 50s. But I just thought the Braves uniform was great.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
No, you don't?
Don't
Don't
like
the
waffle
weave?
thing. No, I like
Glad
the
I
old
brought it up.
the raglan sleeves. You know,
Yeah.
the sleeveless
Yes.
with the raglan
I remember
jersey
the
with the
Oakland
long.
used to
I
have it.
love
Reggie
those.
used to have
Yeah.
yeah.
And they were the most comfortable as a player.
Yeah.
For me, because you never get bound in the scene.
Right. One last thing.
Yes, sir.
Cleveland got rid of Clevenger, and they got rid of Bauer, right? And the other day, Bauer was in the game, and Votto, the first baseman,
Joe
Votto, he missed a couple throws. I mean, just nothing. He just missed them. I don't know what the deal was. So Bauer's in the dugout, and he blows up, and it's real volatile. And I guess they talked and they had it, thing. In a sense, you never want to show up a player. He didn't do it on the field. It was in the dugout. But I kind of like guys that get a little mad when something doesn't happen.
Sure.
Right.
I could see Paul being maybe kind of an intense guy on the field.
A little.
Yeah. And you want that. You don't want these passive guys that lose and they accept it as if, I see that too much. So I like seeing a guy with some
That's how
fire.
it was a long time ago. It's in the ancient history books, but that's how the Dodgers won their last World Championship. Kirk Gibson came and set fire into that team, and took them to task.
Yeah, I think Jesse Orozco did something with his hat, put the charcoal around in his hat, and he put it on.
That's what
he
he
blew
did.
up.
And that got the Dodgers their
Yeah.
last championship in
Yeah.
I
1988.
just said that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
remember the rub it in.
He came from, like
I
Detroit,
knew I heard it
and he
somewhere.
was intense, and he didn't go for that kind of stuff. But he settled,
He was a football player
from
Michigan
playing
State.
baseball.
Oh, Michigan
Did you
State.
say that earlier too? Or?
I missed
No,
that
I
part.
said it.
Yeah.
Michigan State. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I forgot. Brought to you today by Arrowhead. $6.50 if we were going to the ballpark.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. Also, I did have one other real quick. I have a Cal Ripken here too, but we had an earthquake a couple months ago, and his feet broke off. So the streak is
The streak would have been over. Yeah.
Streak is definitely in, and it actually has a head kind of like Bruce Bochy, who
Yeah.
we mentioned a couple weeks ago with the size 8 1/4, but not to size, I don't think. Okay. Any last?
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, just a reminder: the more you watch, the more you listen, the less you know.
Okay.
I stole that, but who's going to know? Anyway, for Kelly, for Paul, I'm Scott. We thank you for watching, and have a good one.
You hit the ball out of the park with SPK Sports. You hit the ball out of the park with Scott, Paul, and Kelly. You hit the ball out of the park, Speak Sports.
That's a guy you call meat.